Hi friends, it's time for our week ahead tarot reading for August 4th to August 10th, 2025. So Mercury will still be retrograding, so anything that we had messages about that still applies this week. It's the last full week of Mercury retrograde. Mercury goes direct on the 11th. We do have forward movement with Mars. Mars is going to be entering into the sign of Libra on August 6th. We also have the full moon in Aquarius on August 9th. So it is interesting with Mars moving forward. That might make you feel like you really want to take action in certain ways, but there's a balance to it because Mars doesn't really love being in Libra, to be honest. And there's, the retrograding planets of Saturn and Mercury, of course, and Neptune retrograding. So there's balance to kind of offset the sometimes impulsiveness that can happen with Mars moving forward. So that's not necessarily a bad thing to have that balance. But let's take a look and see what you need to know for this week ahead. Thank you, Spirit. What does this collective need to know for this week ahead? By the way, if you're ever looking for personal tarot readings, you can always book me at my Stan store, stan.store/IntuitivelyBeth. I always put that in the video description as well. What does this collective need to know for this week ahead, August 4th to August 10th. Notice how it did actually take a minute for the cards to come through, so things might just also be moving a little bit more slowly. I think also you just might need to have a little bit more peace and silence and stillness in order to connect to spirit and connect to your deep intuition. I am getting that there is still a lot of deep intuitive messages for you, especially because the card that just came out was the High Priestess. Okay, so High Priestess is a lot about your intuition, and so I think it's hey, there is a lot of retrograde going on. Maybe we shouldn't be trying to push forward too fast. Maybe it is a good time to kind of check in and reset and check into your intuition and have some stillness and have some quiet and have some peace and be retrospective and reflective and introspective. And that might actually be a very positive thing. I did just get the Six of Stars. That is actually a Taurus card, but it looks like Libra there. So that Mars energy, again, that balance. Tell me more about what is going on here with the Six of Stars. The Six of Stars this week. Seven of Crystals. Okay, so I feel like something else that's coming out here is it's actually in a way almost giving a little bit of karma coming forward. Maybe paying debt repayment coming forward, maybe something that's been owed to you, somebody who took something from you, it's finally coming back to you, or something that you invested in a long time ago that you kind of just it's not a person that you invested in. This actually feels financial. So something that you invested in a long time ago that you almost forgot about, and it just is actually coming forth to you, or you're realizing oh, I need, or you remember it and you're why is that still sitting there? I need to do something with it. So it's you're either realizing with the Six of Stars and the Seven of Crystals, you're either realizing that hey, this thing that I gave to, I never actually got anything back from what I was supposed to, and you kind of it's hey, take care of that, don't let somebody take advantage of you, or something that you gave, it surprisingly comes in. But I do feel it's something where it's from the past and it comes back up. That's actually possibly a good thing in this retrograde, where you actually then are handling your business that you need to handle. Again, it does seem it's more financial. Maybe you are surprised you overpaid on something and something comes back to you. It feels more likely that you have to do the work to get it, though. It feels like you have to, it feels like you have to kind of fight for yourself in this in a little bit. Okay, the Seven of Crystals is actually also the moon in Aquarius, so I want to talk about that a little bit more. So what do you need to know about this full moon in Aquarius? Thank you, Spirit. This full moon in Aquarius. Thank you, Spirit. What does this collective need to be ready for or know about this full moon in Aquarius? The way the moon came out crossed, okay. I do think it's worth going back and checking what happened 6 months ago. Look at how even this is a moon. 6, and like 6 months ago would have been when you set intentions with the new moon in Aquarius. And so go back and look and see like what intentions were you maybe setting, and things that maybe you were like, now you're like, oh, I did set an intention and that was actually not a good intention. And it's almost like releasing the intentions that you did invest in maybe a while ago, or things that you hoped for that you're like, I don't want that anymore, and I'm gonna release that. I think that's actually part of what this is here. Yeah, it's almost like you see more clearly, King of Crystals, about what you really want and what you don't want. And so that you can use this moon both for releasing things, so that's a full moon, and also in a way of like correcting your intention setting going forward. Interesting. Especially correcting it for like the next 6 months ahead. Thank you, Spirit. What else for this collective this week? August 4th to 10th, 2025. Anything else? Okay. I do feel like there's a part of you that's feeling like there's a scarcity of resources. So it's interesting. It's like for some of you, I think you're going to feel like you're not getting enough. You feel like a scarcity of resources financially, but you have a lot that you need romantically or emotionally, or emotionally. And then for some of you, I think you're going to have a scarcity of resources emotionally, and you almost need to like take care of that financially for yourself. Okay, because I see the 5 of Stars coming out, so it's like there is this like scarcity of resources, and again, like maybe feeling like you don't have everything that you need, but then realizing actually I can handle it. I need to fight for myself. I can take care of this, but you might have to like invest some money to make that happen. King of Stars coming out in reverse, and also the King of Cups came out. It was like the 5 of Stars and the King of Cups, and then the King of Stars in reverse. So there also might be somebody coming forward to you romantically that isn't able to, they're struggling financially. And that could also be happening this week, but there is also still with the 10 of Cups on the bottom of the deck. It's interesting because it's like, I feel like I'm saying a lot of things that there's like mystery to what I'm talking about, and maybe not everything seems very positive, but it does seem like there's still happiness possible this week, abundance possible this week. There's a lot of illusion, and I feel like in some cases things that this air of mystery, like it's like you solve some problems but you create new problems in your mind. You finally deal with something that you needed to deal with for a long time, then you feel bad about it. It doesn't seem like a ton. Yeah, there's a lot of internal tension. 5 of Wands. It seems like mostly it's actually internal. There's all sorts of stuff happening externally, let's be real. But it does feel like a lot of what you're experiencing is internal, and I think that's why you also just like take your time to sit and get back in touch with your intuition, get back in touch with yourself and your emotions, your spirit, and like you need to have that time. And it might feel more distant from you than normal. It might be harder to get to, like maybe if you meditate, it's harder for you to get into your meditation or something like that. Like it's a little bit, it takes more effort, but it's there. You need to, like, that almost seems like that's your number one priority, and all this other stuff is kind of extra. I do feel like using the moon is really important this week though. Yeah. And I think it's like, don't create more problems for yourself. I'm getting the sentence like, my future self thanks my present self. So as you're operating each day, ask yourself if your future self will thank your present self. Oh my God. The 7 of Stars, I literally think that's the affirmation for this card. Okay, the deck comes with this booklet, which is well used and has affirmations in it. I can't even make this up. Can you see this? It says, I make sure that my future self thanks my present self, 7 of Stars. And with that, that's the reading. Have a good week.